FPL Gameweek 19 team selection on the FPL Joe YouTube channel. Fresh off the free hit in Gameweek 18, let's start with a quick recap of how that went. So finally a big green arrow all the way from 187k to 118k. 18 points from the Everton defenders, both securing the 2 Defcon points and Keane also locking in 2 bonus for the 10 pointer. Wirtz then went on to score his first goal for Liverpool in the only week that I've ever owned him, so that in itself earns him the MVP award for my team this week. Ekitike, despite being the primary target for many in Game Week 18, left with just 1 assist for a 5-pointer, and as a result I'll be going without him for Game Week 19 onwards. Blanks from big hitters Haaland, Foden, Cunha and Virgil. Liverpool's defence continuing to leak goals, and Virgil is another player who I won't be considering in the near future. Calvert-Lewin came off the bench following Timber's absence, scoring again for his 6th game in a row. He's on a phenomenal run of form, outscoring Haaland in the past 6 game weeks. Leeds' fixture run, however, is going to be pretty rough in the upcoming weeks, so I'm not looking to bring him in, but I am very happy to have caught one of his returns on the free hit. So in total, 58 points, outscoring my non-free hit team by 14 points, which is a massive success. And without further ado, let's move straight on to Game Week 19. So with the free hit last week, all transfers have been undone, and I've no chips left to use for this half of the season. And a quick reminder for anyone who still has chips, they're all going to reset in Game Week 20, so make sure that you use one this week. So the first transfer this week for me, which has already been locked in, is Bruno to Cunha. Cunha failed to convert in Game Week 18, and it does feel like United are missing Bruno's playmaking abilities. However, with an upcoming fixture run of Wolves, Leeds and Burnley back-to-back, United attacking coverage is still a must. Cunha is still dominating from the United attack as far as shots taken, so with the next 3 games, the chance of a haul is still at an all-time high. Looking at the other key transfer options for Game Week 19, first up, one of the most popular ones, Timber to Gabriel. Gabriel's not yet up to full fitness, so despite usually being a 90-minute man, Arteta will want to be careful, given the highly congested fixture schedule, not to rush him back. Gabriel is likely to start against Villa, as many sources have quoted that as being the target for his recovery, although with Villa's form I don't expect a clean sheet here anyway. In the following games though, I wouldn't be surprised if he sees some reduced minutes for the next few weeks. On the other hand, while Timber is flagged, there have been some reports that he's simply being managed over the busy schedule. Arsenal will be keen to field their best 11 players against Villa, given that they're already in a great position in the Champions League, so can afford to focus on the Premier League. And with that in mind, if Timber is available, he's very likely to play here. So if not now for bringing in Gabriel, when? We're looking at the clean sheet odds for the next 6 games, courtesy of 11FI. Arsenal are far and away the best defence in the league, despite failing to actually convert many of their low XGC games into clean sheets. For me, I'm planning to wait until Game Week 22 to bring in Gabriel, when both Chelsea and Arsenal's fixtures turn for the better. I've been fairly unimpressed by Saka's output, so expect to move to an Arsenal back 3 at this point, moving to Palmer in midfield. Waiting will mean that price changes become a factor, as Gabriel is set to be a priority buy for many managers. But with good team value, I'm not overly concerned about this. So with that in mind, we'll be leaving Timber as is for now. But on the previous note, why Chelsea and why Palmer? So Chelsea have had an incredible run of fixtures between game weeks 24 and 27, playing West Ham, Wolves, Leeds and Burnley back to back. It's vital to plan with this in mind, so avoid luxury transfers or sideways moves if you've already got flags in your team, or if you've got short-term punts who you already know need to be moved on shortly. It's slightly too early to be certain about which Chelsea assets we'll look to target, but Palmer, Chalobah, Enzo and Sanchez are all looking to be solid options. Palmer's still yet to look fully up to speed, not playing 90 minutes, and his form is still one to monitor, but if he does show any signs of returning to his best, he'll be a lock in my team by the time Game Week 24 rolls around. One team that I do want to target this week, however, who I don't have coverage for, is Newcastle, who have a great run of 4 fixtures coming up. And the 2 players who I'm really interested in here are Hall and Gordon. Hall has a great run of 4 fixtures coming up, he's the most attacking Newcastle defender, and he hit the post in the previous fixture against Man United. Newcastle are actually 3rd best for XGC, and have been very unlucky not to come away with more clean sheets so far. Hall does have minimal Defcon opportunities, but these are less guaranteed in easier games anyway, and we expect many of the upcoming fixtures to be ones where Newcastle will dictate possession. As for how I get Hall in, it's likely Anderson leaving the team. Fulham have a tough upcoming fixture run, and have looked shaky at the back on many occasions this season. Anderson's Defcon numbers also aren't proving to be as reliable as we'd hoped, so the 3 and 4 point floor is no longer a given. So with that in mind, Anderson to Hall is my next planned transfer for this week, and Collins will be moving to the bench, while still providing cover if Timber doesn't play against Villa. So then looking to midfield, one looming issue is with Semenyo. Despite scoring in 3 successive games, he's a difficult pick for FPL right now, as he's set to leave Bournemouth in the January transfer window. He's likely to play against Chelsea and maybe Arsenal, but it's unlikely he'll play any beyond that. After the move, his minutes will see a massive decline while he integrates into a new squad and system and fights for a highly contested starting spot at one of the bigger clubs, Man City currently being the most likely. So he's a sell regardless, but the main question is who to. Well, as mentioned earlier, Gordon looks an interesting choice. He's on pens, he had a lot of chances against Man United and could easily have come away with a return or two, which would have completely changed the narrative on him. Question marks do remain over his minutes as he rarely plays the full 90 up until the previous game, but I feel the upside makes him worth the punt for the next few games. He also retains that mid-price defender slot to allow switching to an equivalent asset like Enzo Fernandez or potentially even Rice after Newcastle's fixtures turn. Due to a lack of returns so far in the Premier League, he's also been somewhat under the radar, so he's a good differential over the coming weeks. Bruno Guimaraes is an alternative, who's returned well for Newcastle so far this season, and he's absolutely nailed for minutes. However, he's massively overperforming his expected numbers, and he isn't regularly close enough to that 12 DEFCON threshold for midfielders, so he doesn't come out ahead of Gordon in my rankings this week. And with that in mind, it's Semenyo to Gordon as my final planned transfer for this game week. So moving on to captaincy, looking at predicted points provided courtesy of FPL Review and Fantasy Football Hub. There's a lot of discussion this week about Cunha versus Haaland. For me, while I do think Cunha will do well this week, I'm sticking with Haaland for captaincy. While Wolves are the weak defence to target, I'm still not 100% convinced in United's playmaking ability without Bruno. Cunha's unlikely to exceed 100% effective ownership, whereas Haaland definitely will, so to minimise risk, I'll stick with Haaland. Cunha therefore gets the vice-captaincy for Game Week 19. And that wraps up my Game Week 19 team selection. If you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe will go a huge way in supporting this new channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back to prepare for Game Week 20 in a few days with another quick 2-day turnaround. Best of luck, and fingers crossed for another green arrow.